Hey there and welcome back. Right now I'm at my mom's house and I am getting some food ready to take up to the farm. Nelson has been up there for a few days and he hasn't had a home cooked meal. The weekend is approaching, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to head up there tomorrow so I can help him with a big project over the weekend. We have to get power to the camper. So we still have to finish the trench that's up there, and I'm going to help him with that so that the power company can come in and hopefully put our power in. And we want to get the bulk of the stuff done this weekend. So right now I am chopping up some veggies and some things that I have to make some soup, some really special soup. And I am going to bottle all them up and take them up there so that we have some nice food while we're working this weekend. I'm sure he'll appreciate having a home cooked meal, which he has not had for almost a week. So that's what's going on right now. So what I got here is some onions, some garlic, carrots, and celery, as well as some mushrooms. Now what I'm doing here is a knockoff of the chicken and gnocchi soup from Olive Garden. Found a recipe online. I can link it to you guys below if you guys want to check it out. But I love this recipe. It tastes just like it. The only difference is I added mushrooms this time around, and instead of gnocchi, because I don't have time, I'm going to go ahead and add these egg noodles right in there. We've actually had it with egg noodles without the mushroom. It tastes really good, but I wanted to add a little bit of extra protein for us while we're working up there, and we all love mushrooms, so I'm going to go ahead and include those as well, and hopefully it'll turn out super delicious. So it is now morning. I am pretty much all packed. My parents are actually right now, they're at a doctor's appointment for my mom, and I just finished making breakfast for me and the little one. The other two are going to be staying here with my parents. I wanted the kids to stay just because it's kind of muddy and cold and windy and really miserable up there, and there's a lot of work that me and Nelson have to do this weekend. But my little one, she really wants to come up. She doesn't want to stay. So I'll be taking her with me today, and then my older two is they're going to stay with my parents. So I'm going to eat breakfast right now with my daughter, and I'm going to finish packing and just put everything in the car, and then hopefully we'll be on the road very soon. Now, there was something peculiar that I came across as I was driving up the highway, and I hadn't really seen this before, but there were several areas along the highway that were on fire, and there was quite a bit of smoke everywhere, and you can see the grass and the trees on fire and up in smoke. Now there were quite a bit of these areas, so I don't know if this was something that was planned, but I did see a fire truck and ambulance like the opposite direction going toward those areas. So if anybody knows anything about this or if it's just common, or I don't know what it was, maybe it was intentional or maybe it wasn't, I'm not sure, but that was interesting. We made it to our first stop of the journey, and that is our midway point that we always stop at, which is Buc-ee's, where we get gas, we get food, go to the restroom, and then get back on the road. So we just made a stop at the Acura dealership here in Chattanooga. My key fob kept telling me that the battery was really low, and my car is the type where you don't insert a key to turn on the car. You have to have like a key fob and then you push the button. And so I was afraid that at some point the key fob wasn't going to work. So I stopped by. Thank goodness there's one right off the highway. So I stopped in real quick and they changed it for me, and it was really fast. It was cheap. I'm happy. Now we're back on the road again, or we're about to leave. And we have about an hour and a half left of driving. And hopefully the dog will make it, because she doesn't sound too happy right now. Now, I was extremely grateful that I had to stop by Acura, because when I made it a little bit further up, just maybe not even 10 minutes, there was this huge accident. And this was all I was able to capture. It was just a picture because we were stopped in traffic. It was unfortunately a fatal accident. And when we passed by the scene, it was pretty heartbreaking, the amount of devastation on those vehicles that we saw. But I will say these cops and sheriffs and first responders were amazing, because there was over 20 vehicles in that area helping out, trying to get those people out of their cars and just trying to rescue them and, get everything back in order. So I was grateful that we had to make that stop. And even though it was kind of an inconvenience, I truly believe that God knew what he was doing by pulling us away, because it happened while we were at the Acura dealership. Now, when we got up there that night, Nelson had to go into town to get some gas for the generator, so we decided to stop by one of our favorite restaurants in town, because he hadn't gone out anywhere to eat that entire week. So we figured that the soup that I brought up we would use over the weekend while we were working on site, so we wouldn't have to leave and get food or anything. So we went out, did that, and then enjoyed some Christmas lights around town. The following day, we got on our mule in the morning and we went around the property just to take a look at it, inspect it, and just see how everything had been since I last went on there. And since we had so much rain, the pond was completely full. It had gone up like 4 feet, but everything else was just absolutely beautiful. Now, this was the trench that we were supposed to be working on this weekend. This is where the power is supposed to go, and Nelson had already done quite a bit. I had shared some of this in a previous vlog, I believe, but Nelson didn't get very far. There is quite a bit of rock on our property, and as you can see, this is already about probably 70 to 80 feet that was already taken out, but we needed almost just as much to do remaining. Now, if you can see where I'm pointing, that's where we had started the trench, and then this is where it kind of ended when Nelson had done the previous work. But since we moved the RV, it needed to be dug out even farther to where that stake is right there. And as you can see, we have a tent over our generator so that the rain does not damage it. But this ground has been untouched and it still needs to get trenched, and it's just so much work. And as you can see right there was the original water line that Nelson had dug up. We did share that in a previous vlog, and the power station was supposed to be right next to it, but unfortunately, no. And this is just our reality right here. Nelson got some rock that we had taken up from the site where they had installed the septic tank, and he put it down on the tent so that it wouldn't blow away and just protect the generator. And then with the truck, he blocks the generator so that we don't hear the really loud sound inside the camper. This is our life right now. It's a little hectic. Can you hear it in my voice? Anyways, we ended up going out that day to get some stuff from Lowe's because we had a change of plans. And it was unexpected, but I'll explain to you in just a minute why we did it. But that's just how it goes sometimes when we're working up here. I am. By the time we were done, the sun was already starting to set. It sets very early up here, simply because we are so close to the Eastern Standard Time that the sun acts more like it's Eastern Standard Time instead of Central Time, which is a little bit weird. And our days are very short over here. All right, so that was Saturday. Now today it's Sunday, a new day. And Nelson and I are working inside of the container that we have on our property. This container we bought to pretty much house a lot of Nelson's stuff that he had in the garage, tools and things that did not need to be stored in a climate controlled area. We just figured that we would have it on site. And you might recognize some of the stuff that you see here, but we had basically just thrown everything in there. And sometimes it was hard to find tools or things that we needed. And Nelson was like, look, if we can't do the trench today, and again, I'll explain to you in just a minute, it's coming. Let's just go ahead and buy some heavy duty shelves and try to get this thing a little bit more organized so that it can be a little bit more functional and we can use some of the vertical space, because right now everything was kind of like in the middle and on the floor, and it was a hot mess in there. So Nelson and I got to building some really huge shelves and started stacking stuff up. And what you see right there is actually the pool stuff. So when I first started filming this video, I started on Thursday night when I was prepping the food for us coming up here and spending the weekend with Nelson. We came up here on Friday, and then it's now Monday. So the footage that I shared was over the weekend. Now, the purpose of me coming up here was to help Nelson dig out this trench that we need in order to have electricity, permanent electricity, over to our RV so that, we can continue with our work and, live without a generator and be up here full time. So Nelson got out Saturday morning and he started working, and I was supposed to help him. And I saw him out there basically shoveling by hand, trying to get the mud that had fallen into the trench after he had already trenched it because of the rain that we've had up here. I saw what he needed to have done, and he needed to continue the trench on another, 60 to 70 feet that he hadn't even dug out yet. And immediately I said, no. I said, we're not doing this. I told him, I said, you work really hard and you can do a lot of things, but this is one thing that we need to hire out because this is just too much for you. And I said, you just need to stop, because no matter how much work you do today, we're not going to get done, even with my help. It was just too much of a job. So what we did was that Saturday, I started posting in different Facebook groups that I have found local here in the area. I called a couple of neighbors to ask them, hey, do you know anybody? And we made tons of phone calls. And my husband talked with a ton of contractors, and a lot of them were just booked. It's the holiday season. There was nothing till like the end of January. And we feel like we finally got lucky with this one gentleman who said that he had one of his subs that could probably come out here on Monday. Well, he is out here today, and Nelson is talking to him right now, kind of going through everything that what we need to have done. He had already explained to him what was needed and, why it was kind of urgent for us. I mean, we're spending like $30 a day on gas just to have the generator on for us, and it's just no way to live. It's been very tough. I don't have a refrigerator that's on all the time, so I've been, storing food outside. Thankfully, it's been really cold, but I have to live out of a cooler. So Nelson had just come back in after talking to the guy. They've been out there a few minutes now, starting to dig, and of course, as we knew, they were going to encounter rock. So what they're going to do is today they're going to do the entire trench as much as they can, as deep as they can, with their bucket, and then tomorrow around midday is when they're first available, is for the guy who's got the hammer. So he's going to come out and do the hammer in the areas where there's just too much rock to go all the way down. He is making a lot more progress than Nelson would have with an entire day's work. So at least there's that. The only thing is that I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to stay here the whole time, because they're not going to be back till tomorrow, which is Tuesday, and they might not be finished till Wednesday. I'm not sure at this point.
So it's the end of workday one, and this is what the trench looks like right here. The gentleman left the bucket with us because they were just going to come right back the following day. And as you can see, it hasn't rained, but there is water in this trench, and there seems to be some kind of natural spring. And if you can see right there on the screen, there's like little bubbles in the center of the screen, and I'll point my finger to it in just a second so you can see exactly where I'm referring to. But there seems to be water seeping in through the rocks, so hopefully that's good news for when we dig our well. But yeah, it's just one learning experience after another. And here you can see a lot of the rock that was already removed from the trench that he dug out. There's just big chunks of it. And there is this huge piece that he took out that's right there. So at least we have a lot of landscape material.
So I am back in Georgia with my littlest, and I had to come back because honestly, I haven't even started wrapping presents yet at this point. Um, but it is now the next day. We got here yesterday around 3 o'clock in the afternoon. We made pretty good time, even though it was raining most of the time we were on the road, but thankfully we made it home okay. That was the first time I actually did a round trip up there by myself, or at least, me driving. I had my little one with me, but so it was my first time and it wasn't so bad. But yeah, I'm just glad we made it back. I did talk to Nelson this morning, and he has a crew of 5 people out there today with a hammer, and they're hammering the areas that were still too shallow for the depth that's necessary for it to pass inspection. So they got there around 10 o'clock this morning, he said, and they have been pounding rock away. The area closest to where they're going to put the post is the one that has the most rock. So that's what they're kind of just really trying to work on. And they're trying to see if they can get the inspector out there. I'm not sure if that's going to be able to happen today, but we'll see. It's just so tough. There's just so much rock in some of the areas of that property. The soil above it is great. It's really good soil, really rich. Every time we take chunks of soil out, there's a ton of earthworms, and it's dark, rich soil that's been, fertilized by cows for many years. So we love the fact that it's really good soil. It's just that it's on top of rock. And in some areas, it's just more than others. And so we told ourselves, it's kind of funny. We were like, well, thank God we're not going to be building a house with a basement, because that would have never worked. Spoiler alert. Our plans don't include a basement, even though we've had basements in our houses for the past 3 houses. Anyways, it just seems that every time we have to bury something or, put something in the ground for whatever reason, it's a little bit more complicated. But at least we know what to expect when we build the actual house, because all this is going to have to get done for the house itself. It's just things that, we'll know to encounter in the future, and know how to, plan ahead, and, what to expect as far as time and cost, because this all costs so much money. It's ridiculous. Um, so yeah, now I'm just gonna focus on pack presents and just spend time with my kids. My kids and I, when I got home yesterday, all I did, honestly, I didn't film or anything. I just sat down and just watched movies with them, and it was really nice. So right now I am doing more laundry, because I brought a whole bunch of laundry, about like bed sheets and all that stuff from the camper, so we can have them nice and washed when we go back up there. And I am in my room with closed door, trying to see if I can even get started on, gift wrapping. Tomorrow I have a little bit of grocery shopping to do for Christmas Day. I just want to make sure I have like breakfast items and stuff that, the kids will like for that morning, and just have anything we need. in case, I decide to make something for them. So that's the plan for the next few days. And that is our update on the property as of right now. Um, he did also say that the internet fiber guys came out and pulled another cable because the original cable was too short. Because if y'all recall, when we installed the septic tank, we had to actually like move up the septic tank a little bit more, and then we had to move the actual RV. So when we eventually, measured the distance of the cable that we would need, it was a lot shorter than where it is now because we had to move it farther away. So at least we're out there with that too. So that's great. Maybe in the next couple weeks we will have power and electricity, and we will be up there very soon in the new year. That is the plan. So we have several other things that we're going to have to start like immediately after we get up there. And I'll be sharing more about those and why it's so important for those projects to get started. That's where we are right now. So I am wishing you all a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year if you do not see me before then. And I will be sharing more updates with you all very soon. So I will see you all then. Until then, adios.